What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. And also, thanks for hitting the like button for us down below. It really helps out our YouTube channel. In this video, let's go over this. Stimulus updates. Millions of Americans are getting stimulus checks, but not from the federal government. Well, at least not yet for the next round. If you watched my previous video or two, they are in progress of, as you can see here, Senate Democrats see major progress. They're working on a new version of a new stimulus package, a new version of Build Back Better, a new Biden agenda bill, and hope for a July vote. And Senator Joe Manchin is on board with it. He has been working with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer here for weeks behind closed doors. They have been meeting regularly on the details for this, and the Democrats can pass this completely on their own with just 50 votes, all the Democrats in the Senate through the reconciliation process. So that's exactly how the Democrats passed the $1,400 stimulus checks through the third stimulus check package last year. That was $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, and $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college students. And it also had the child tax credits for 1 year last year, which were $3,000 for children 6 through 17 and $3,600 for children under the age of 6 that was paid out in monthly payments if you chose the monthly payment route. Remember, you do need to file taxes to get the other half of that monthly payments. Even if you don't normally file taxes, you need to just go ahead and file taxes for 2021, which you can do now. Even if you don't normally do it, file because the IRS owes you the rest of that money. The IRS says that potentially millions of people are going to miss out on the rest of the money, which is $1,500 to $1,800 per child, simply because they don't file taxes, which you can do. You just need to file the paperwork. Yeah, so they're working on a new version of that. And while the federal government is doing that, which could include inflation relief or gas tax relief or debit cards, even President Biden said that, there's multiple states that have already passed stimulus checks. I just did a video of checks that are coming out in July. I'll link you to that video here at the end of this video here in a few minutes. But here's the latest news on more states that are working on deals right now. Check this out. The state of Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who's vetoed several bills here lately, celebrates a bipartisan budget deal and urges further action. So maybe she won't veto this bill. Here's what she says. Yeah, she urges further action to cut taxes, lower costs, and offer real inflation relief right now. I have multiple different states here we'll be talking about here after this as well. But this is kind of what's going on here with all these different states. In Michigan, Governor Gretchen Whitmer introduced or issued the following statement after the Michigan legislature passed the bipartisan fiscal year 2023 state budget. The governor looks forward to signing the budget in the weeks ahead, but urged further collaboration on tax cuts and inflation relief. We're seeing this from a lot of different states as families face rising prices on gas, groceries, and everyday expenses. She says, quote, I am so grateful to my colleagues in the legislature for working across the aisle. She's a Democrat and the Republicans control the state legislature with me to pass a balanced bipartisan budget, the fourth we have done together. I will review and sign it as soon as possible, but I want to draw attention to work we must still do to cut taxes and put more money in people's pockets. Right now, Michiganders are facing rising prices at the pump, the grocery store, and on countless everyday expenses. We need to come together to offer them real inflation relief now. We can get this done because we still have billions of dollars in revenue left on the state's balance sheet after our budget. And every state right now has billions of dollars left over and from the last stimulus package as well. If we build on our bipartisan collaboration on the budget, we can cut taxes for seniors and working families and put more money in people's pockets. I laid out my plans to temporarily suspend the state's sales tax on gas to lower prices for every driver. Roll back the retirement tax to put an average of $1,000 back in the pockets of seniors. This is already a good start, right? Lower the sales tax on gas, roll back the retirement tax to put an average of $1,000 back in the pockets of seniors, triple a tax credit to deliver an average refund of $3,000 to 730,000 working families. Wow. And send $500 inflation relief checks to Michiganders. Wow, that's a lot of different, really great sounding stuff, right? Let's work together this summer on a bipartisan agreement that helps Michigan's working families. It says here in Governor Whitmer's budget in February, she proposed rolling back the retirement tax to put an average of $1,000 back in the pockets of 500,000 families, tripling the Michigan Earned Income Tax Credit to deliver an average refund of $3,000 to 730,000 working families. Rolling back the retirement tax would ensure seniors who have worked their entire lives and paid their fair share could keep their hard-earned dollars. Boosting the EITC, also known as the adult tax credit, would directly help half the kids in Michigan by helping their families, their moms and dads, pay the bills, put food on the table, and purchase school supplies. And in May, the governor proposed the Michigan tax rebate. Right now, I plan to send $500 to Michigan's working families from the state's $3 billion in additional revenue. Yeah, so I will keep you up to date here on this. As you can see here, this is basically kind of what's going on in most states here. Every single state has a surplus that I know of billions of dollars. This is because the last state package, or the last stimulus package, sent $350 billion out to all the states, or a share to all the states. And every single state got over $1 billion. Pretty much multiple billions of dollars went out to each state. Larger states got more money because they have more population. And also, because unemployment is really low right now, it's at 3.6% based on the last reading by the nonpartisan, I think it's from the Congressional Budget Office, that reading. Um, but So this is, right now the states are bringing in more money from sales tax, from income taxes, from the state level, and the federal government as well. They're just all bringing in more money. So they have a lot of money to use, both the states and the federal government as well. The federal government, the Congressional Budget Office, said that they're going to be able to pay at least $1.5 trillion of federal deficit down this year. So 1.5 trillion. So for example, it only cost a quarter of that, about 400 billion, to send out the last $1,400 stimulus check. So that's about enough to send out 4 stimulus checks of $1,400. So now that the government is taking in all sorts of money like this, they have plenty of money to use this for inflation relief, gas tax relief, because of how bad people are struggling right now with inflation. And they could do this and just only send it out to, like, a certain income threshold, so that not like everybody, the rich get it or anything like that. And wouldn't affect inflation that much because um, they're paying off the deficit like crazy. So they could take some of that money and give it back to the people that are really struggling. Next up, the state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania's state budget is officially late. Here's what you need to know. And this comes as the Pennsylvania governor is pushing for $2,000 stimulus checks to Pennsylvanians using American Rescue Plan Act money, the last stimulus package. Yeah, despite weeks of private negotiations between Democratic Governor Tom Wolf and legislative Republicans, um, which is kind of the same story as Michigan, Pennsylvania's budget is officially late. A new plan must be passed and signed into law each year by June 30th to set spending on everything from education and healthcare to economic development and public safety for the next 12 months. So, what caused the delay and what comes next? Late budgets were the norm during Wolf's first term, including multi month impasses in 2015 and 2017 caused by lower than expected revenues and disagreements over how to fill the gap. But now, the past few years' budget negotiations proceeded with much less friction due to higher than expected revenues. And now the pandemic, which created a willingness to compromise in this area. Despite the state's multi-billion-dollar surplus, are you starting to see a pattern here? States with multi-billion dollars of surplus, as well as an additional $2.2 billion in remaining federal stimulus money. I believe they have $5 billion in surplus money and $2.2 billion in federal stimulus money for a total of like $7 billion. Talks have been difficult this year due to differing priorities among Wolf, the governor, and Republican leaders in the state Congress, as well as emboldening conservative rank and file descendants. Talks didn't start to move forward in earnest until Tuesday of this week and Thursday afternoon. Exact details on the state's multi billion dollar spending plan, along with hundreds of pages of accompanying legislation, were still being debated by top lawmakers and staff as they shuffled from private meeting to meeting. Sources suggest that general agreement among Republicans to vote for an increase in education spending. In exchange, the governor would sign off on Republican policy wins, such as a ban on private funding for election administration or an end to regulatory actions targeting charter schools or the natural gas industry. Other policies on the table include a corporate tax cut, more funding for nursing homes, and using stimulus money to fund conservation projects, housing, and property tax relief. It'll be interesting to see what that is because that could be checks directly back to the people. Public and housing, public and school safety grants, and mental health services. All sides, the governor, Republicans, and Democrats, also want to see some of the multi billion dollar surplus socked away for the future in case of a recession. What does a late budget mean? In short, very little. The state is legally bound to make debt payments, cover Medicaid costs, and issue unemployment payments, keep prisons open, and cut paychecks for state workers. Other payments, including discretionary spending on tax credits and grant, can be postponed until the governor signs a spending plan. But if this continues to go on for months, a worst case scenario, then public service like schools, libraries, and other organizations may have to make hard decisions regarding which bills they paid and how long they could stay open. And this goes for any state that has this happen. Also in Pennsylvania, starting today, 260,000 older homeowners, renters, and people with disabilities across Pennsylvania will be issued rebates totaling $121.7 million, the Department of Revenue announced today. The rebates will be distributed through the property tax and rent rebate program in Pennsylvania. $121 million starting today, or maybe this was yesterday. Uh, this is a program that has delivered more than $7.3 billion in property tax and rent relief since the program's inception in 1971. We want Pennsylvanians to know that there is still time to apply for rebates on property tax and rent paid in 2021. If you know of a friend or family member who may be eligible, encourage them to check their eligibility status and file an application with our agency prior to the deadline on December 31st, 2022. As specified by law, rebate distributions cannot begin until July 1st, which, yeah, happened. Applicants who submit their bank account information on their application forms will receive their rebates through direct deposit. Applicants who request a paper check will be mailed to them. To submit an application for this, go to the website listed here. If you're from Pennsylvania, mypath.pa.gov. It's easy and does not require you to sign up for an account. You can see it right here on the screen. If you know anybody from Pennsylvania, share this video with them so they can see this. And if I see any other states like this that have programs like this, I will be sure to cover it here in upcoming videos. Mypath.pa.gov. Yeah, applicants should check the property tax rent rebate program instruction booklet to learn which information they will need to input, upload, and complete the process, which should be on that website. Applicants who wish to file paper applications or obtain property tax rebate claim forms, you can also call this phone number here on the Department of Revenue's website, 1-888-222-9190. It's free to apply for a rebate. The state of Georgia once again extended Georgia's gas tax suspension. So, yeah, congratulations, Georgia. Here's how long it will be suspended. Governor Brian Kemp has extended Georgia's gas tax suspension through most of the summer. And Brian Kemp is a Republican. He is a Republican governor. Kemp made the announcement on Friday while also mentioning he renewed the state of emergency for supply chain disruptions executive order. Interesting. Both will be effective until August 13th. The gas tax was suspended first back in March. Wow. As prices initially ballooned and then extended in May as Georgians began to see another surge. According to Gas Buddy, the average price for a gallon of gas in Atlanta is $4.41. That's about 43 cents below the national average. So that's a pretty good savings. That's a pretty good savings per every single gallon you're saving that. That adds up. That's 10 gallons is $4.43. 20 gallons would be like, almost $9. You're starting to almost $10 there, for every 20 gallons, it's starting to add up. To provide actual relief to Georgians, I am once again extending the supply chain state of emergency and suspending our state motor fuel tax. In addition to these actions, I'm suspending the locomotive fuel tax to help the rising costs that are being passed on to consumers. Under state law, the governor can suspend taxes by executive order as long as state lawmakers ratify the action next time they meet. The governor abated gas taxes in 2021 during a pipeline shutdown, and former Governor Nathan Deal suspended gas taxes multiple times as well. In announcing the suspension of the suspension, he blamed President Joe Biden, saying, "I'm committed to fighting to ease the economic burden hardworking Georgians are facing due to the disastrous policies from Washington politicians." Yikes. The price of gas has risen dramatically around the world since Russian President Putin began amassing troops on the border of Ukraine. Biden has now called for a 3-month suspension of the federal gas and diesel taxes. And we'll have to see what that happens. He's also called for state lawmakers to do it here as well, which a lot of states are doing, as you can see. Yeah, so as you can see here, if you've been watching my show here, just more and more states just providing inflation relief, tax relief, rebates relief. Um, I mean, all sorts of different type of relief, checks relief. I mean, it's just really almost on a weekly, daily basis. Um, More and more states popping in here. I'm trying to cover as many as I can here, but it's just wow, just yeah, whenever we just my wife does a lot of research here for us, and when it comes up here in our searches, we cover it. So I'll keep you up to date here, and hopefully, one of your states. I mean, really, there's been a lot of states that have already passed these as well. Some states like Indiana is coming back around for a second check. They did $125, and then now the governor's trying to do 225. um, and really, it's been Democrat and Republican governors. I think the Indiana governor is, yeah, Eric Holcomb. He's a Republican. So both Republicans and Democrats are jumping on the bandwagon now. Sometimes they're pausing gas taxes. Sometimes they're issuing checks. Sometimes they're reducing taxes. Sometimes it's taxes for seniors with Social Security or retirement. So really, there's a whole plethora of different things going on here, and I will keep you up to date here with all of them here on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. Just makes it so you won't miss out on new videos. And after you click subscribe, then click the bell icon so you get notifications when we go live here with new videos. You can also click this video here to see what 58% of Americans are now included in. And this video, what Nancy Pelosi just did, which is crazy. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.